Hi, welcome to ExamDebug. I'm Chris, and today I'm going to be taking you through some table basics. If you haven't done so already, please have a watch of our other tutorials on database theory, especially the data types one, as that's going to be important for understanding a little of what we're doing today. Okay, so we're going to be working with Microsoft Access 2010. But it's not that different from other versions, so don't worry too much if you have a slightly different version. So the first thing we're going to do is create a blank database, so an empty database to start with. And all we have to do is change this file name down here to what we want. So I'm going to have animals as my database. And I can just click create here to start things off. So this will open us into our sort of main window. On the left here is our very important pane where we'll have all our different tables and queries and things. And then we have our tabs here for every one of these which we have open. And then inside each tab we will have our fields and then our records. At the moment it's blank, but you'll see as we go on. So Access starts us with a blank table with just this ID. If we save it, so if I right click and then save, it will ask us to give it a name. So animals is going to be the name of my table. We can, however, create more tables by going up to create table. Again, it will create this blank table. Right click, save, and I'm going to call this one countries. Now later I'll have these two tables relate to each other, but that's outside the scope of what we're going to do today. So if I go into animals, you'll see it's still empty. Now depending on the version you're using, you can either just click here and choose the data type you want. So for example, text. I'll call it animal name. Okay. And then you could add data in here. I'm going to make that a bit bigger. So this is animal name type text. But other versions, it's not going to let you choose the data type straight off here. So it's easier to go into view and go down to design view. This is maybe the more traditional way to do it. So we've got animal name, and then I'm going to have type, and then I'm going to have maybe the age of the animal, and maybe have the weight. I could have other things like, we'll call it gender, and we will say, I'm going to say price. Now that's not to say the animal is for sale. The price could be something else, and we put that in the description here. So the animal name, we want it to be text, and as we spoke about before, we want the field size to make sense. So 255 is probably going to be too big. Maybe something like 50 characters would be better. Again, the type of animal is not going to be that big. 50 again works. Age text is not going to be correct. We're going to want it to be a number. And then we can choose the type of number we want. So age is usually going to be a whole number, so we'll keep it as a long integer. Weight, however, we want it to be a number, but there's a good chance it's going to be 5.x kilograms or whatever. So if we go in here and change it to double, that will work. And we can choose how many decimal places we want it to have by changing the decimal places section. And then gender, so with animals, it's probably we're going to have male, female. So that's simply going to be a yes or no. And again, we can choose the format. You'd have to decide which one was yes, which one was no, and then stick to it. So male, yes, no female, or true, false. Whichever one you want to match would be the best way to save it. And okay, good. And price we could have as currency. Actually, the only reason I'm putting price in here is just so that we can have a currency type. The format we can choose to change to euros, or we could change it to other things depending on which currency we're using. So pounds or other things. And again, we can set our decimal places in here as well. So this gives us a basic one. However, this primary key is going to be set as an auto number. Let's imagine instead, though, that we have another type of ID. So I'm going to change this to text. I'm going to have animal ID. So in my animal center, maybe each animal has a unique ID, and it's called the animal ID. Now, as we mentioned before, unless we can do some kind of mathematics with it, then that should also be text rather than a number, even if it's made up of numbers. So we can go back to our main database by clicking on this view section here, either just straight here, and it'll ask us to save the table. And yes, we want to do that. And you see we've got these options here. And we can change back and forward between those views. It's not locked. So after that, all we have to do is start putting in our records. So animal ID, I'm going to have my first animal is 112256. The animal name, we'll call it Fred. I'm not sure why Fred is an animal name, but okay. Type, I'm going to have Fred the dog. Age, he's 4 years old. His weight is 6.8 kilograms. He's male, and his price is going to be 100. And you'll see that automatically changes the format for us. And again, we could just keep on adding in as many different animals as we wanted. And you could just keep on adding records as you wanted to. And just remember to save as you go along as well. Okay, so that'll do us for some table basics. The main thing is that you remember you can jump between these views to edit your data types and other such things. So I hope that helped. Please check out our website, examdebug.com, or continue on YouTube for further videos. Good luck with your exams.